Welcome, welcome, welcome. So what we're going to talk about today is the trademark application process. First, we're going to talk about why trademarks are important. Then we'll talk about the actual application process. And then we'll talk about what it's like to work with the boss's lawyer in getting your trademark application on file and ultimately registered. Okay. But first, who am I? Who is the boss's lawyer? I'm Ryan Shaw, and I help small business owners build businesses that operate as assets instead of liabilities, increase in value over time, and build wealth. After about 10 years of practicing law and working for mostly larger corporations, but some smaller businesses as well, I realized that smaller businesses were not being supported, right? They were not receiving enough knowledge. They were not receiving enough information. They were not receiving enough legal support to allow them to build wealth, right? And so I started the boss's lawyer in order to be able to sort of fill that gap. And here we are. Okay. Also, I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, a real estate investor, and ultimately a wealth enthusiast. Okay. Building wealth is about creating a strong foundation upon which others can build, be it family, be it the community. That's what it's about. Disclaimer: no legal advice is offered or provided by way of the dissemination of this publication. Okay. Also, I'm not your attorney. What I'm doing right now is providing information. Okay. Now, it's important to understand before we get started what the difference is between a brand and a business. There is a difference. Okay. A solid brand can house countless businesses. Okay, why would one brand want to have numerous different businesses? Well, essentially for liability protection. Okay, in order to make sure that they are able to control the various different, liabilities and liability exposure of different ventures. Okay, ultimately, we want to make sure that no matter how many businesses we have, when we are operating under this theory, that we are creating a strong brand. For example, Amazon. Amazon is a great example. They are one brand, but it consists of numerous different businesses. Okay, we got Amazon Prime, Amazon Grocery, Amazon Shipping. We got all kind of Amazons, and the reason that they can all be successful, and we pretty much bank on all of them being successful, is because Amazon is a strong brand. So what's a trademark to you? A trademark is a word, phrase, symbol, or design that distinguishes one brand's goods from another. So essentially, your trademark is the way that your brand is going to be identified by your ideal customer. Okay, so this could be the name, this could be a slogan, this could even be a smell, right? And it could be the name of not only your brand itself, but even the name of products or services that you may offer under your brands. Okay, so there's lots of different things that are trademarkable, but it really depends on you having a strong trademark strategy. And so that's what we're going to talk about a little bit later. Okay. Building a recognizable brand with strong brand reputation is an investment into the longevity and overall value of your business. And that is what one of the things that trademarks protects for you. Customer goodwill is the relationship your brand has with its customers. Developing and protecting trademarks is not just a formality or mere cost of doing business, but it's an investment. And essentially, it is an investment in your brand's identity, okay? The way your brand is identified by your ideal customers. Once you have dumped a bunch of money into marketing and advertising and branding, you just want to make sure that ROI is coming back to your business, okay? And that's what trademark allows you to have the power to do. Trademarks assure consumers of consistent quality and promote efficient competition, meaning they help consumers know what they are buying and from whom, okay? This is the recipe for creating customer goodwill, brand recognition, and a profitable brand. Now, we already talked about some of the things that can be trademarks, but taglines, podcast names, course names, symbols, blog names, all of these are, things that you should consider trademarking in your brand as it grows, okay? What I always like to tell my clients, keep in mind that your brand is more than colors and logos. What you're selling is an experience. Okay, so it's even more than the products and the services. It's also about how you're delivering those products and services. Okay, so all of these things that make your brand special, that make your brand what it is, these are the things that you are protecting by securing trademark ownership. Now let's talk about securing ownership of your trademark, okay? So as we talked about, we should understand by now, trademark registration provides you the exclusive right to use your mark in the class or category designated, okay? So that's something I want you to understand. When you go and file your trademark application, you're going to have to figure out, or your attorney, which will be me, will have to figure out exactly what categories you will be using this mark in. Okay, so you're not going to get broad ownership of this mark when it's all said and done. When it's all said and done and everything works out and your mark is registered, it's going to be registered in the specific lanes, right? The specific categories of the market in which you're going to be using that mark. Okay, so it's important to make sure that your trademark strategy is one that incorporates essentially making sure you have adequate protection, right? You want to make sure you have protection in the right categories for what your business is doing now, but not only what your business is doing now, but what you know your business is going to be doing in the near future, okay? The USPTO allows you to submit trademark applications for products and services that your brand has already used the mark to sell, but you can also get protection for things that your mark has not yet begun to sell, okay? For example, if your brand currently offers handbags, but you plan to also start selling shoes under the same brand, you can apply for protection for both handbags and shoes simultaneously. The caveat is that you will have to later show proof that you've actually begun to use the mark as intended. Okay, so about 6 months after you filed your application, in that case, if you're trying to get protection for, a trademark that you haven't, a category that you haven't started to use the trademark in, then you're going to need to submit some proof. Right? The USPTO is going to give you about 6 months to submit proof to say, hey, I wasn't ready then to show you, but I'm ready to show you now that I've started doing XYZ and using the mark for XYZ. Okay. So that's just, important to remember, because you want to get trademark protection early and often. Okay, so as early on in a sort of launch process as you can start to seek trademark protection, you should. Okay, because it's one of those things where you want to know earlier than later if your strategy is working, right? If it's going to work. Okay. Now, let's talk about the trademark application process. What happens after you hire the boss's lawyer? Now, we talked a lot about trademark strategy, and we talked about, the various different nuances of filing your trademark application. And what this all boils down to is trademark strategy. Okay, so what I found is a lot of small business owners that are aware they need a trademark, they don't really understand fully what trademarks are. And so it's difficult for them to craft a trademark strategy or even select, right, create a trademark that is going to do its job, right? Because a trademark should do so much more than actually, protecting it, right, and securing it from your competitors and making sure your competitors can't copycat. Now, that's important, but that's not the only thing that trademarks do, right? Trademarks also allow your brand to make more money. Okay, I would argue that that's probably one of the biggest things that it does, right? It helps your business to be able to create various different streams of revenue. And pretty much, if you have a strong trademark strategy, then you should be able to make more and more money, right? Generate wealth on demand, okay? From collaborations and licensing and all kinds of different things that you can do if you're really leveraging your trademarks properly. And so to that end, I want to make sure that when we are getting going on your trademark application, that we are working on a trademark that is truly going to benefit your brand. And so we start out with educating you on creating a trademarkable brand and a strong trademark strategy. Okay, so you'll start with the training. You'll take a very short training that'll just help you get in the mindset, help you figure out, exactly what you should be trademarking, make sure that what you have in mind to trademark is, something that's going to help your brand profit more. Okay, and something that, is going to help you reach your goals a little bit faster. Okay, so you'll start off with the training. You'll review the trademarkable brand checklist, which is just another resource to help you be able to make sure that your trademark strategy is airtight. Okay, because the trademark process is an expensive one. It's an expensive one, and it's a long process. So you just want to make sure that once you get going and you make this investment, you really do want to have the greatest chances of success as possible. Okay, and starting earlier than later to figure out, if you're headed in the right direction is really the way to go. Okay. Now, once you've done all that, you'll be able to choose your trademark and create your trademarkable brand strategy because you will be armed with the knowledge and the resources to do that. Okay. And at that point, you are ready to complete your client intake form. All right. You will complete the form and provide all of the information that I will need to begin the process of getting your trademark application on file. After you have completed your intake form, you will receive a link to book your trademark strategy session. Now, this is where we get into, this is where we go over the information that you put in your intake form, and I'll ask any questions that need to be asked. When you speak to the attorney, you will be able to understand exactly how your Now, after you have submitted your client intake form, you will receive a link to schedule your trademark strategy session. Now, your trademark strategy session is where we're going to go in depth about your trademarkable brand strategy. We'll go over any questions or clarification that is needed from your intake form, and of course, answer any questions that you have about the process or your trademark generally. From there, we are off and ready to roll. The next step, we will begin to clear the mark. Okay, that's the process that we want to do in order to make sure that we are submitting a strong trademark application, right, to the USPTO. Because like we said, this is an expensive process. This is a long process. And so the first step we want to do is make sure that the application we are submitting has a good chance of success. And we basically want to make sure we're not infringing on anyone else's mark. Okay, so what we're going to do in my office is we are going to run a search. This search is going to scan all sorts of places, the internet, social media, the USPTO's database, all kinds of places to get a bird's eye view of what's happening in the marketplace, as well as to be able to determine if there are other trademarks that pose a threat to your application, basically. Okay, we want to find out if there's something that sounds too similar to yours, looks too similar to yours, that may make it harder for you to get registration. Okay, and if that happens, then we kind of need to regroup and we need to strategize around that. Okay, so in the event that happens, we will assist you, we will support you all the way. But after we've cleared the mark, right? After we've gotten over any humps or hopefully we don't have any humps to get over, but either way, after we cleared the mark, the next step will be for my office to prepare a draft of the trademark application. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take everything we've learned in our conversations and from your client intake form to be able to prepare that application, and we will get a draft over to you for review after we've done that. Okay, now once you've approved that and you are ready to file, you'll need to pay the filing fees. We will send you a request just to pay those filing fees. We will pay those on your behalf, and currently the filing fees are $350 per application per class. Okay, so we talked about those classes earlier. Those classes, again, are the categories. Okay, those are the categories in which you are going to be seeking that trademark protection. Okay, so 350 times however many classes or categories you're going to be seeking to register your trademark within. Okay, now one thing to keep in mind is, as we've said a couple times, the application process can be a lengthy one. Okay, I suggest allowing at least a year. Okay, and that's if everything goes smoothly. If everything goes very well, it'll take a year, give or take, maybe a little more. Post pandemic, it has kind of taken a little longer to get things moving at the USPTO, but give or take a year. Okay, a year. It could definitely take more, and like I said, that's if everything goes smoothly. If things don't go smoothly, it can definitely take longer. Okay, now what our office does, which is included within the trademark application premium package, our office will respond to any and all non-substantive office actions that come up during the application process, okay, for your trademark. And what that means is if the USPTO were to reach out and have a question, an issue, a problem, a concern that they need to have clarified that does not require legal argument, okay, an issue that needs to be resolved but does not necessarily require legal argument, our office will do that, included within this package. Okay, so you won't have to worry about most of the things that, could come up along the way in your application process. All of that will be included. Okay, now in rare instances, if we receive, information, that some sort of objection essentially to your filing, if someone files something like that and they don't want you to get your application filed, then that would be something that we would have to address and do that outside of the package. Okay, but the purpose of us running the search in the first place and clearing the mark and going through all of that and strategizing around that is to avoid all of that happening in the first place. Okay, we just don't want that to happen at all, which is why we're being proactive and making sure we have a strong trademark strategy in place and going as far as to clear the mark prior to filing the application with the USPTO. Okay. And that's really it. That is the trademark application process when you hire the boss's lawyer. Okay. We make it easy. We make it smooth. It's a streamlined process and it is packed with value because what I always stress, and I will always stress to you, is it is about strategy. It's not just about filing any old trademark. It's about filing the right trademark and making sure you have adequate trademark protection. Okay, because you want to be able to leverage these trademarks unlimited, right? We're able to create unlimited wealth, unlimited opportunities, and unlimited growth for your brand. You want to expand and increase the reach, the revenues, and the impact of your brand, and trademarks are going to help you do it.